on in the Public Works Department with the plow drivers, so they aren't real happy. But the thing is, the money, it was a weekend, so I'm sure they were getting at least time and a half, and it was city workers that, because didn't call out the plow guys to bring their pickup trucks to put snow in the back. They were dumping the snow somewhere else, which usually it's behind the DPW on Primrose Street. But anyway, it happened. On a weekend, it's even hard to reach anybody to even ask a question. So, but we just have a practice that, regardless of what time of year it is, it gets done. I guess that's the way.
Well, safety, you have to.
Right. Well, you could stretch it to safety, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure if safety really requires it. But with that being said, let me say a little bit more about Gary Lapierre. Gary was originally from Shelburne Falls, Massachusetts. He graduated from Graham Junior College and attended the University of New Hampshire and Boston University. He received an honorary doctorate from Emerson College in 1998. He was kind of one of the broadcasters that will always be there. He was inducted into the Massachusetts Broadcasters Hall of Fame, AP, Radio Television News Director Association Awards, the National 1998 Edward R. Murrow Award for Best Radio Newscast, and he received the Lifetime Achievement Award from the March of Dimes for Achievement in Radio Organization 1997. So he definitely at least was recognized for all of his good qualities in professional broadcasting. I think we have one other clip. Chris, do we have one other clip of Gary's that we want to air for our listeners? Go ahead. I caught him.
March 16, when the new 97.9 WHAV is formally dedicated. WHAV members and guests are invited to this exclusive celebration 70 years to the day when WHAV first went on the air in the Merrimack Valley. Hi, it's Gary Lapierre. I worked for WHAV. It was brief. Long story. Tell you sometime. Anyway, become a WHAV member or renew your membership now. Just visit WHAV.net and click on the membership tab. The celebration takes place Thursday, March 16, 6 o'clock at Maria's Galleria Banquet Hall in downtown Haverhill. Seating is limited, so reserve now at WHAV.net.
Okay, thank you, Gary. So that's Gary Lapierre. You remember the voice, I'm sure, and I'm sure everybody is a little bit saddened with his loss today at the age of 76.
Yeah, because he, from that morning crew from BZ that he was on, I mean, you had Dave Maynard had a show.
Yeah.
Who were the, what's his name there?
Carl DeSouza was mornings, yeah.
He was there also.
Yeah.
Don Kent, the weatherman.
Yeah.
All those guys are gone.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah, it is. So we're going to take a break because it is that time. This is the Open Mic Show every Monday night, 6 to 8, right here on WHAV. If you'd like to join us, you can call in at 978-374-1900 if you have a comment. When we come back, we're going to talk about Albie D's, and we're also going to talk to our special guest tonight, Ralph Basiliere, about the plans that have been drawn for the new Vietnam Veterans Memorial here in Haverhill. So keep it right here on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open Mic!
Bill Macek and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. Open Mic is brought to you in part by Smith Motor Sales of Haverhill, 420 River Street, exit 48 off 495.
Stay informed each day with local news coupled with FSN's worldwide coverage. 97.9 WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source. There's always more at WHAV.net.
Like to laugh? Then you'll like listening to Eve Arden as Our Miss Brooks on CBS Radio, with Cupid taking pot shots at her from one side and Mr. Conklin, the school principal, badgering her on the other. Our lovelorn school marm has a tough time tracking down her favorite male, Mr. Boynton. Every episode of Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, offers immediate insurance against the blues.
Old Time Radio is heard 7 nights a week over 97.9 WHAV FM. Hear Our Miss Brooks Thursday nights at 10 with an encore performance at 1 a.m.
Community Spotlight.
Have Haverhill's next big soccer star at home?
The city's Youth Soccer League is currently accepting registrations for 2 sports teams aimed at children in preschool through 6th grade. The development and in-town teams gather on Saturdays at Constantino Middle School, 685 Washington Street for games. Some of the teams practice twice weekly at Constantino. All teams are co-ed and led by volunteer coaches. Registration forms for both programs must be submitted along with an $80 fee no later than March 9th. For more information or to apply, visit haverhillyouthsoccer.org. Submit your own nonprofit event or announcement at least 3 weeks in advance. For best results, use the online form under the Contact tab at whav.net. In the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, I'm Eric Scott.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents The Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Open Mic is brought to you in part by Smith Motor Sales of Haverhill, 420 River Street, exit 48 off 495. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we're back on the Open Mic Show. Bill Macek, Bill Ellis, and our special guest right now is Ralph Basiliere. Ralph, you are on the Conservation Commission, but you're also, what's your position? Are you leading? Are you the chair?
I'm the chair of the Vietnam Veterans
of the
Commission.
Vietnam Veterans Commission. And I know that you guys are you're moving fast, I'll say that, even to get done what you've already gotten done. But now you're moving into phase 2. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the plans and the drawings and what the next phase is going to bring to the park. What's the name of the park?
Mill Brook Park.
Mill Brook Park.
Certainly your listeners could...
on Mill Street.
Right. Go to WHAV online and on Facebook and see the architects' renderings of them. What we did at the last meeting, since I saw you last and I promised that I would
Update
come
us.
back,
Yeah.
I met with the architect and Tommy Sullivan. We got the conceptual plans. I've had a number of meetings. I've attended a CONCOM meeting, and I've chaired a meeting of the Vietnam Commission. Took 6 meetings, spent 6 nights in the hospital, and got a haircut. So I've been really, really busy.
6 nights in the hospital. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, that's for a
Heck of a
different.
haircut being
Those
6
are
nights in a
6
hospital.
days you can't quite get them back. But thank God for the miracle of VA healthcare. What we have at Mill Brook is a small triangular park that's really set on the downslope of a hill at the entrance to Plug's Pond.
Plug Pond, yeah.
And it's just a beautiful neighborhood, bucolic setting. And as you know, we've moved what was the Vietnam Veterans Memorial there, really on what I could say is kind of an emergent basis. We got it there. We have decided that because of some vandalism that took place some years prior, we were going to put a new plaque on that this year. We've since decided that we're going to make that get a whole new monument because we can't really take off the plaque without damaging the stone.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna make a bigger monument. Fred Clark, renowned local landscape architect, has given us plans, and we're kind of looking at. He gave us a lot of options to choose from, picture boards and water fountains and things like that, and we thought about the theme of making it look like and not to be funny, but like a helicopter landing zone, bringing that really kind of helicopter-centric aspect of the war.
Which was a part of Vietnam.
Right. Much to my happiness, the commission really moved in the direction I wanted them to go in, which is not always the case. I might be the chair, but I'm still just one vote, and most of the people there are smarter than me. We're going to do basically a second circle that is paved with a monument that has not yet been chosen. It'll be ADA access, and we're going to do what would probably be, I think, for the space, just off the top of my head, 10 granite posts with bronze plaques on them that will have an educational component. We're looking into having an app so that you can learn about Haverhill's fallen sons, the 13 who died, and other Haverhill soldiers who we might be able to access and get information from. So we're really looking to be an educational piece, but we're really looking in that park to keep it simple and let the the neighborhood and the park and the granite and the bronze and the simplicity carry the day. This will also involve, indigenous meadow grasses and wildflowers and shrubbery, trees, things like that. So there's an awful lot to do.
Gonna have some benches?
Yeah, there's going to be granite benches. We've already got 2 donated. Of course, we have to, I'm at the point where I can't say to people, I need this in an in-kind service or that in an in-kind service, because we want to really, at our next meeting, which I think will be somewhere around the 20th of this month, narrow down exactly what we want to do. Take a vote of the committee and the commission in a whole, and narrow down what we're going to do, and then really start hammering the fundraising.
It sounds real interesting. Sounds like an interesting concept. Yeah. Not just what you have now, just not a monument and
right
and that's it. But it sounds like you've got the educational component. It's really interesting.
Well, we got that from.
How about pigeons? Are you going to bring in pigeons?
Pigeons.
Well, every park has pigeons.
Yeah,
right?
well, they'll come on their own. Joe Bevilacqua, city councilor,
Sure.
who's I'm happy to have on the commission. He set up a phone call where I talked to the Secretary of Veterans Services for the state, Mr. Urena, and he suggested that we check out what Beverly did. And we were going to do that. We set that up with the chief of staff. We had a contingent going down. I ended up in the hospital. I called Melinda Barrett from the hospital. I asked her to take it over. Best move I ever made.
Yeah.
You want to talk about thorough?
Boom.
Yeah. I mean, the best decision I have made as a commissioner was to delegate that while I was gone to Melinda. I have a very concise, lengthy report with how they raised the funds and where they got the grants, who was involved, what they used. But they had something very powerful there that we're considering. And they have a bench with a statue on it of a young man holding a draft card. And as I've said here previously on WHAV for a news story about the park, being drafted, there's an awful lot of gravity that comes with that. I mean, there's a phenomenal amount of weight that comes with that. And that, if a statue is worth 1,000 words, that's an example of it.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I was in that draft period, but I was at the end of it because it was controversial. And I was in the year, I became 18, I think, is when I had to file, and I had a lottery number. I never got called. So that's why I never served, pretty much. I was going to school. But on the other hand, I do know a few people that had a number that did get picked, and that's the way they did it. And then I think it wasn't long after that they phased the draft right out. It became voluntary.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the draft, I have mixed feelings about the drafts as I look at it from a policy perspective. First of all, I don't think it would work in the Marine Corps, and I never want to see it there. But, there is the question, when we have our warfighting done by roughly 1% of our population, is it time for a draft? If that answer is yes, then I say, if we're ever to the point where that answer is yes, we shouldn't do what we did during the Vietnam War, and that is basically we should do what we did in World War II. Everyone goes. Ted Williams went. I mean,
right.
No Project 100,000, which was a well-intentioned disaster, and I would have to say, other than certain things that the country would need for national defense and public health, no student deferments.
But I've heard some of the the reports, the generals saying that they like what we have now because they can select, and it's not like take all comers.
Right, you get a higher quality
right. They have a
soldier,
because of
sailor, and Marine. Yeah,
the knowledge that's required in this day and age. It's like I used to be able to work on a car, but now I have to take it to the technician.
Well,
there's no such thing as an auto mechanic anymore.
Technology
has raised the bar.
Right, it's making the case for no draft, really.
Yeah,
making a sound case for it.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. So
it's interesting is when you talk about technology. When you used to see kids spend a lot of times with these war games at home, playing on their computers or on the TV set.
yeah.
Well, that's basically a lot of what it is today. They have a facility, I think it's in New Mexico, Arizona, where they control drones that are over in the Middle East.
Really? I didn't know.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
true.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Wow.
Yeah, drone strikes that are happening in Syria today are being controlled. I believe it is out of Nevada, but I'm not,
Wow.
I'm not
Yeah.
positive.
That is
all
amazing.
it
Like a
takes
video
is-
game.
Right, it is like a video game, and all they have to do is somebody has to actually put a set of eyes on where they're going to be hitting, just as a double check, and then they give the go ahead, and then there's a guy sitting in a little bunker someplace, and he just presses a button, and wham, it's all gone.
Technology is incredible. I mean, I was amazed when I first found out that they control the planes going in and out of Logan in Nashua, New Hampshire.
That's true.
Yeah.
The
It's-
air traffic controllers are up in Nashua.
And that's all radio
Yeah,
signals.
yeah.
You could go up in the air, and you basically put the plane on autopilot.
Yeah,
And seriously, it takes you there.
that's what I've heard, that the pilots truly aren't flying a whole lot of the time. Yeah, but
It is an autopilot thing.
I'll feel okay flying until they start flying them from the ground. Though I've always said that's when I'll start to worry a little bit. When it is somebody with a joystick sitting in a room someplace flying the plane that I'm in.
So you wouldn't like that?
I don't think I'd like that.
No.
I think I'll.
No, the pilot, was the fella you meet when you're going on the plane who's shaking your hand in that nice uniform.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of skin in the game.
Yes.
The person on the ground,
Not so much. Yeah.
Interesting fact, though. I know we're not here to talk about aviation, but
We'll talk about everything.
I saw some interesting figures that came out during the government shutdown.
Yeah.
This is a fascinating figure. When you and I couldn't do this math, but when you take the number of flights there are per day in the air, if air traffic controllers in this country are 99.9% accurate, you will have 50 airplane crashes a day.
Oh wow! So they're almost 100% accurate.
Yeah.
Or they are 100%
Yeah,
accurate.
they have
Yeah.
to. They have to be 100% accurate.
That's a burnout field, though. I'm told.
I would
that
imagine so.
People, they really can't do that for extended period of time for long. But their head just because they have such concentration that they have to constantly be giving. Hey, we got to take another break. We're at that time. Time's moving right along here on a Monday night on the Open Mic Show. 6:32 is the time. Bill Macek, Bill Ellis, and our guest, Ralph Basiliere, right here. If you want to call in, 978-374-1900. Join the conversation. And we'll be right back on the Open Mic Show on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic.
Bill Macek and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. Open Mic is brought to you in part by Smith Motor Sales of Haverhill, 420 River Street, exit 48 off 495.
It's 6:32.
For more in-depth coverage of the news, visit WHAV's website at whav.net.
Catch the wave.
On air or online, 97.9 WHAV serves you. Twice an hour weekdays, keep up to date with exclusive local news and weather. Find out about civic events on Community Spotlight every quarter hour. And better prepare with Wave Weather every 30 minutes. Mass Moments, Melinda's Garden Moment, Soundbeat, and Insight Daily complete the spectrum. Hear classic comedy and drama 7 nights a week at 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. Finally, a unique blend of rock and roll hits from the 60s, 70s, and 80s round out the entertainment. Stay with 97.9 WHAV, the only Haverhill-based news source.
Wave weather.
Now your wave weather forecast for Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. Partly cloudy, maybe even mostly clear skies through tonight. Low 39 and a light breeze. Warming up very nicely, 62 degrees, becoming fully sunny throughout your Tuesday. About a 4 to 8 mile per hour southwesterly breeze. Mostly clear, lows dropping back into the middle 20s Tuesday night. And for Wednesday, mainly sunny for much of the day with a few clouds increasing late. Highs near 38. I'm WHAV meteorologist Brian Ivy. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents The Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Open Mic is brought to you in part by Smith Motor Sales of Haverhill, 420 River Street, exit 48 off 495. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we're back on the Open Mic Show. Bill Macek, Bill Ellis, and Ralph Basiliere, who is in to discuss a number of things tonight. One is the Vietnam Memorial that's being rethought, redone, and has been already removed, right?
We
at
have
your new
removed the
location.
existing-
Yeah,
right, we are
big
at-
turnout that morning, too.
Yeah, nearly 300
Real
people.
nice, real
we are
nice.
at Mill Brook Park, and it's on Google Maps now.
Right. Is it?
Yes.
It's amazing. So, before we get going again, let me just say that we want to put a thank you out to LBD's second generation Italian bakery in Bradford Square, right on South Main Street. Free parking right in front of their bakery. And they provide us with a giveaway cake every month. And it's time again to go to the next month. We drew the winner for February.
Oh, we're not gonna eat the cake.
No, we don't get. No, we have to.
Imagine my disappointment.
We'll go buy one. We'll go buy one.
You know how to
somewhere.
make a fat man cry.
I don't know. What'd you do?
Can't eat the cake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got to give it away. Anyway, LBD's is the donor of our cake for the birthday and anniversary contest. If you have a person you know related to, or just somebody you want to put in the contest, all you have to do is call us at 978-374-1900, and that birthday has to be in the month of March because we are already into February. Wow. Time flies, doesn't it?
Valentine's Day soon.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
we should talk about that.
Billy,
Your
what do you
cards
get? What
in
do
the
you
mail.
get me for Valentine's Day?
I'm sorry, Bill. You're not my Valentine this year.
You mean you're not going to give me any of those little candies? They say I'm yours.
You
You know what? I don't think they're making those. Yeah,
they don't make those
They don't
anymore?
make. I heard this is the first year they're not making them. Because actually, didn't they come out of Somerville? Wasn't Necco?
Oh yeah,
I
made
believe
those?
you're right.
It was.
I think you're right.
Yeah. So
That's sad.
they're gone because
Yeah.
the Necco wafer is gone too.
Yeah.
I used to eat those when I was a kid.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
kind of
they used to
reminded
come
you
in
of
like wax paper.
a little tasty host from church.
Yeah.
Basically. it was
If you
like
say
that.
so.
Yes, yes. So you're also working on the Vietnam Memorial, and I just want to mention the name John Ratka, and maybe you want to say a few words about the guy we lost here locally as a surprise, and he's a hard guy to replace.
Yeah, I mean,
He's
John
done
Racker.
so much for veteran outreach.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
John Racker was a giant in the veterans community. His loss was very sudden and stunning. I remember learning it was like getting hit in the gut with a Louisville Slugger. He was a member of our commission. John has helped me out. I've had a long, working relationship with him. And really, he's a giant. He'll be hard to replace. And God rest his soul and bless his family. The good news I can tell you is that even when I was in the hospital, I was communicating with VNOC. They have a very strong ship. They have a great board of directors. They have elevated a gentleman named Jason Gilbert, a Marine, a personal friend of mine, to the interim executive director position.
Great.
And that ship will continue to sail, and the services will continue to get done. As much as I hate losing John on the commission and on the personal level and at VNOC, as much as all those things hurt me, one thing I learned from John is that our mission is far bigger than any one man, and the mission will continue up there, and it will continue on our commission.
Right. Well, you're right at the beginning almost of the Gerson project,
Right.
to create more veterans housing.
Right. Because of John Racker, and the team that he led, Haverhill has become a hub for veterans housing.
Yeah.
It is really, I choose to get my health care at the VA. Of course, I know through my 10 years of going to the VA, probably 1,000 veterans by name. And Haverhill, when guys are not on a winning streak, let's say, and they need help, Haverhill has become the place to come, and it's because of John Racker and Veterans Northeast Outreach Center.
How many young men or women were involved in the Vietnam War?
Total, I could not tell you, but it would have to, I think, have to be a few million, I would think.
No, from Haverhill.
Oh, that's a number I'd love to know. That's an elusive number. I would have to guess that over the years that the 10 years we were actually involved directly in the war, my God, it had to be 300 or 400, I would think. I mean, I know dozens and dozens.
I know a lot of people that
Vietnam
served.
veterans.
Yeah.
I literally know dozens of them. It seems like every one of my father's friends and my neighbors growing up and were Vietnam veterans.
Yeah. Okay. Our producer Chris is telling us that we have a caller on the line who would like to give us a birthday so we can start filling up our cowboy hat for our drawing come the last Monday of the month.
It better not be
February.
Brian, because you know what I think Brian does?
Well, you just read the thing, Bill. What?
Oh, Brian, I think
Here
he saves on birthday presents by putting out people's names. And then
Is there any chance I'm going to get this cake?
Brian,
Do you want
when's
your birthday in
when's
March?
your birthday?
August.
August.
We'll put you in
We'll
July.
put you in July. Yeah.
And
You guys are killing
And then
me.
we'll split it like we did with Bill's cake.
Yeah. All right.
Brian, how are you
Let's talk
tonight?
to Brian. Hello, Brian.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello. Well, you're being kind tonight.
Jeez, apparently you can't see us.
I didn't want to break the stride in your conversation about the Vietnam War, along with the other people that were Vietnam War era, and
We'll get back to it.
fortunately didn't have to go and maybe get stationed in Germany or something.
It's funny. I said something. Can I
Go
take
ahead.
that?
Of course.
I said something about this today. I was taking a lunch meeting with a local businessman who's going to make an anonymous donation. That I wish I could announce tonight, but I can't because all the details aren't figuring out. But we chose to, when we move forward, recognized all Vietnam-era veterans because I'm just guessing as an infantry Marine, as a reconnaissance Marine, that if someone was loading a plane with bombs in Oklahoma, that eventually, were dropped in front of the enemy in front of you, that guy's just as important to you as the pilot dropping them. And you make a very important point. John Kennedy's told us that nothing is quite so unfair as military service. One guy gets drafted, goes to Antarctica, another guy gets drafted and goes to San Francisco. So you make a great point, Brian.
Just touching about that Antarctica thing, there was I like going on YouTube, and John Kennedy, and everybody's got an idyllic image of John Kennedy. Well, there was a thing that came out about when Jackie was having the baby and what they were putting in where she was going to be staying for furniture. And it came out where this captain said, well, we're spending this, that, and the other thing, and JFK he was mad.
Yeah.
And on the you hear the telephone conversation, he's telling the guy, I want you to transfer him to Alaska. He was upset.
Yeah.
It's funny, you get this persona about a president, but then you listen to the tapes, and you actually hear their conversations, and they do swear. They are human.
Well, they're still human.
Oh, I just said human. Now, if you ever see the movie
human.
Lincoln that came out a few years ago, they showed a side of Lincoln that was incredible. You look at this tall, passive guy and so forth, but you see him slapping his hand on the table with the 13th Amendment, and he goes, you got to get this done.
Yeah.
I want this done.
Yeah.
And then what they ended up
JFK
doing,
was no angel.
that's what I understand.
As the stories
I'm waiting for
come
Mr.
out.
Bush to start banging his shoe on the table.
Mr. Bush?
I'm waiting for Brian to say next month's birthday.
Oh,
is
yeah,
Ralph
that's right.
Basiliere.
That's right. We never got that.
It's a nickname. All the kids have nicknames, and her nickname is JJ or Duty. And
We'll go with JJ.
okay, we'll go with JJ. And
It's easy to
I think it was
spell.
last year, she won the cake,
Well, hey, anything's possible.
and it was addressed to JJ.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Beautiful.
She got it.
So you mentioned Bush banging the shoe on the table?
Banging his shoe on the table.
I thought that was
That was
Nikita
Khrushchev.
Khrushchev.
That was Khrushchev. I'm just waiting for Bush to do the same thing.
Oh,
Bush.
Jeez, I don't.
I think that the media would love that.
Are you talking about Trump?
Bush is no longer in
Oh,
office.
did I say Bush?
Yeah, you kept saying it.
He's no longer in office. He's
So do you drink Josh
I
Walker
don't
red or
know.
black?
I've been away.
okay. Well, there has been an election or two. Actually, Bush was in before Obama.
Oh, it's been a while back.
It's been like three elections.
Re-elections.
Oh, don't mind me. I'm back in the 60s.
That's okay, Brian.
That's all right.
That was probably kind of a nice time to be around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all right. Best of luck to JJ.
For some, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you said JJ won last year?
I think it was last year she won, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Is that the old?
And
Do you have another one?
I'm giving them the birthday cake that I won because I can't eat a 7-inch cake.
You could have a
I'll
slice.
tell you I could.
You could.
I know you
Slice
could,
it
Yeah,
up.
you know.
you got a Keurig here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll wash that thing down with a couple of cups of bad coffee.
So you
Or
you
milk.
gonna have a slice of it, Brian?
Probably not.
Oh, that's too bad.
Anybody else
Probably.
besides JJ?
No,
just
I
JJ.
just want to see people that are close enough in that will actually redeem
Yeah.
these certificates.
That's right.
And go pick up a
And,
cake.
and JJ's information is with our producer.
It sure
we got
is.
it in the hat. All right, we're
Right,
good.
JJ is
All
squared
right,
away.
Good. Hey, you know what? It's that time again. We got to take a short break, Brian. Thanks for calling
Okay.
in. Talk to you
Have a good
soon.
night, gentlemen.
All right.
Thank you, Brian.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to 2019, Brian.
Yeah.
He's like
He's been in a time zone.
back in the
Like Rumpelstiltskin, he woke up and Trump's president.
Your time tunnel.
Yeah.
You mean the guy who used to be on the late night show all the time?
Yeah. 6:46 is the time right now. This is the Open Mic Show. Every Monday night from 6 to 8, we do it right here. If you want to join the conversation, 978-374-1900. We'll be right back with more of the Open Mic on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic.
Bill Macek and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. Open Mic is brought to you in part by Smith Motor Sales of Haverhill, 420 River Street, exit 48 off 495.
Try listening to WHAV in your car or anywhere on your mobile phone. For fast access, visit WHAV.net.
That we deliberate and achieve with wisdom and understanding, recognizing the rights of all of our citizens with full regard for the dignity and justice of the individual.
Each week, WHAV News brings you live gavel-to-gavel coverage of the Haverhill City Council. Listen to 97.9 WHAV FM each Tuesday night at 7 when the City Council is in session from the Theodore A. Pelosi Jr. City Council Chambers in City Hall. Presented as a public service from 97.9 WHAV FM.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents The Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Open Mic is brought to you in part by Smith Motor Sales of Haverhill, 420 River Street, exit 48 off 495. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we're back on the Open Mic Show. Bill Macek here, along with Bill Ellis, and also Ralph Basiliere is joining us this evening. And Ralph, we were talking about John Ratka last and all the things that he's done, and the veterans throughout Haverhill. Some of them still with us, and some of them gone, and all the nice things you're doing for the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, and. It sounds like it's just gonna keep coming. What do you think? You have a target date to get most of this done? 2019?
Yeah, we do have a target date of November 1, 2019. Now, as I sit here today, when you're the guy at the helm of the ship, you fret about everything.
Yeah.
Everything that happens correctly is absolutely the work of the commission. I'm pleased to lead them. But everything that goes wrong is going to be my responsibility.
We're going to point right at you.
Right.
That's
Well,
right.
that's how it goes.
That's the way it works.
That's leadership.
But we're not going to be too upset because you guys,
No.
I'm sure, are going to make it because it's going along so quickly. If somebody wants to help out, even an anonymous donor, how can they reach out and make a contribution?
You know something,
You
Bill?
You can't do all this on your good looks.
No, but my good looks isn't going to get me a cake
Well,
at Albies
how about the
tonight.
new haircut?
Yeah. Well, nice, isn't it?
6 days in the hospital for a haircut?
Yeah, imagine that.
God bless you.
You know, how people can contribute, I'm glad you asked. The mayor, who's given us everything we've needed, had the city treasurer set up a gift account. It's a separate account that is used for nothing but the Vietnam era veterans, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund. And people can send out a check made payable to the city of Haverhill. In the memo, it's very important that you put Vietnam Memorial Gift, and get that to any one of the commissioners or because it eventually gets to or send it to the city treasurer. Pretty soon, you know, the city's revamping their website, and the chief of staff assured me this morning that once it's up and running, we have a spot where there will be a link and people can donate using credit cards and debit cards. But right now we are collecting checks. As I said, we did inherit some problems with the existing monument. Now Rick Atwood, who has done nothing but wonderful things for this commission, didn't have the time when we set the November 11th thing to have the plaque rebronzed, which is kind of a blessing in disguise because we're going to go bigger and better. But that's a $10,000 or $12,000 day, so that's step one. We definitely need contributions. Now, as I said earlier, everything is my responsibility, so everything makes me fret. Joe Bevilacqua, who's been wonderful, and Lou Fossarelli, who has also been super in this, both told me, don't fret. Once we get the final drawings, they're gonna spearhead the fundraising.
Right.
They're gonna reach out to all their contacts. I think we both know they have a lot of contacts. So standing on the shoulders of men like that, I am very confident.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Now, every gentleman or every person that's being recognized, is there family members associated with them? Have you found family members for everybody?
Yeah, and actually that tells you some of the urgency of why we went on a fast track here, because we are now dealing with people who are in their 70s and 80s, which means we're dealing with siblings in the 70s and 80s and parents who are mostly gone. There was one fella, we had reached out to WHAV and an out-of-town newspaper, both who helped us to try to find family members, and the morning that those stories hit, one of the 13, I call him the Haverhill 13, his final sibling died while we were looking for her.
No kidding.
Wow. And that day I did, of course, because of that circumstance, hear from some 35 family members, no less of which 16 or 17 of them showed up at the event a week or so later.
Sure.
So there is some great urgency to getting this done, but we also have to do it correctly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
With the last time you were here with the gal whose name escapes me,
Linda Gambino Baxter.
She was saying that 3 of the members of the 13 are buried within feet of each other, that they had family plots that basically were purchased prior.
Just coincidentally.
Yeah, coincidentally, and they're right in the same line.
That's correct. The connections on this, if you could literally start drawing lines from the names on that monument to family members who are alive to people we know. I'll give you an example, a great example. Lou Fossarelli and my father were very close friends. My grandmother and Lou's mother were best friends.
No kidding.
He knew my uncle. That's just one connection.
Yeah.
That's just with one connection of one name on that monument.
Are they all buried in Haverhill?
I don't know that. I don't know.
Well, there's something else for you to work on, Ralph.
Yeah, well, it's always something.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I just was curious.
This is an ever-shifting mosaic of administrative and logistical challenges.
Right. So next hour, we're going to be talking a little bit about the Super Bowl game.
What did you think of the game, William?
Let's wait till next hour.
Are you going to leave me in suspense?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I could hardly wait.
Do you know the outcome, Bill?
You know what's funny?
So it's not that much suspense then,
Yeah.
right?
It's,
Yeah. No.
Here's an interesting. Couple weeks ago, when the Patriots beat the Chiefs, there was a church in Skowhegan, Maine, and the guy called the score. The pastor had
That's
the
right.
exact score.
Yeah. Right.
Well, he didn't have the exact score this time, but he had the spread at 10.
He
And
did.
that's where it was. So there
Well,
could be some divine intervention
he
here.
might have been getting signals from the far above.
Yeah,
I would think
he
so.
might also be taking advantage of the new loosened marijuana laws because he was way off.
Well, Maine has. They're already there.
Yeah.
Haverhill's next to come.
Our long national nightmare is
I'll tell you,
nearly
that's
over.
something that I'm just really saddened by the amount of people that don't get it. What Haverhill has been forced to do by the ballot question that was passed in
people have
Haverhill,
spoken.
and what the state legislature is requiring us to do. And maybe later next hour we can talk about that a little bit, because people think we have done this voluntarily, that we've decided to set up up to six opportunities in Haverhill, and that's far from the truth.
You know what I see there? I see up to 6 opportunities for people who are entering into host agreements to donate, if you're listening to me, to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Ad Hoc Commission.
There you go. That's good. That's good, because they are going to be making some contributions to worthy causes.
Wonderful.
What's the tax rate on that, Billy?
For the first 3 years, it will be 3 plus 3, and after 3 years, it's just 3% on the on top of the sales tax. It's an additional 3% sales tax.
So what do you mean 3 plus 3?
Well, in the beginning, the state allows, because of the costs involved, additional security, police, all the requirements that the city's going to have to spend some money just to help these shops set up properly. In expensive, if it's nothing more than people power, having the resources. So
What's the-
the state allows you to collect 3% of their income.
Net or gross?
I believe it's net. I believe it's gross.
Okay.
I've heard that.
And then it's 3% sales tax, additional sales tax. It's like a local sales tax.
On top of a mass sales tax.
Mass sales tax plus 3. Right.
Okay.
Yes.
And when is the first location expected to open? Is it July?
July, August. It's really not defined so that we know exactly when. And there are still 3. Well, what I understand is that there have been more than 3 additional applicants looking to get host community agreements. So the mayor is actually appointing a special committee. It's not a public committee, but it's a review committee that will report to him. It's going to be made up of a member of the Board of Health, our city solicitor, and I believe it's somebody from the police department. And they're going to review the applicants and say, we like these.
No,
We recommend you negotiate with these in this order.
I was reading that some group that just got a license turned around and just sold it to a larger group, I think out of Canada.
I heard that was one of the first 2. I'm not sure whether it's Leicester or if it's out in North
Hampton.
But I did hear that too. But that's okay.
What's the revenues you're looking to generate?
We're not looking to generate anything. We're we're going to
How much money do you expect that the city of Haverhill can expect to see?
Well, per shop.
Total.
Well, I don't think I've ever totaled it. So I think per shop we're looking at least anywhere between $250,000 to $1 million a year.
Per shop.
Per shop.
6 shops.
Right.
Wow.
Right. So
So if you want to put a line item in, Bill, for the Vietnam Veterans Memorial with some of those funds, I'd be happy.
we cannot appropriate money. The city council can only the mayor can appropriate money. Something else that people don't.
So if you're
don't
listening,
totally
Mayor.
understand, right? If you're listening, Mayor, they need us to The mayor needs us to approve.
Right, assent.
Just
right.
like he creates the budget, we go through the budget. We have a little bit of dickering. There's things we like or don't like, or things we want. And we negotiate that, and we come up with a budget, and we vote on it.
I've learned that because for the Vietnam Commission, I have to come before you for assent when the mayor approves a gift.
There you go.
I come
Yeah.
to you for assent.
Right, there you go.
Of course, I didn't think it worked like that initially, but and I was rapidly schooled by the city solicitor, who is a wise owl.
He is. He certainly is. We got some great people, serving the community right now. We are coming up on 7 o'clock. This is the Open Mic Show. Every Monday night, we do this from 6 until 8. And we hope that you will join us, 978-374-1900. You can get on the line right now. We have a line available for you to get on hold and speak to us next hour. And we are going to be here till 8 o'clock, just chatting it up.
And we're going to have Richard Johnson.
Although Richard Johnson's coming up
He'll be coming
right
on the air,
after
and
the
he's
top
got
of the
his-
hour.
He has his book on the New England Patriots.
Yeah, and he has a new chapter to write now. So,
Yes, he does.
Yeah, so we'll talk more about that right here on the Open Mic on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic.
Bill Macek and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. Open Mic is brought to you in part by Smith Motor Sales of Haverhill, 420 River Street, exit 48 off 495.
It's 7 o'clock.
WHAV LP Haverhill.
Here's what's happening in local news. Haverhill police seek the public's assistance to identify a masked man who entered a home on White Street early Sunday and allegedly threatened a juvenile during a burglary just after 5 a.m. Captain Stephen Doherty tells WHAV the suspect, wearing a hood and mask, opened the first floor window to the home around 5:05 a.m. and entered the room where the juvenile was asleep in bed. The man then made threats toward the 8-year-old and fled the area. Surveillance from the scene shows the alleged burglar clad in a light-colored outfit with dark shoes and gloves. Anyone with knowledge of the incident is asked to call Detective Kyle McCann at 978-373-1212, extension 1578. For the rest of today's local news, here is Eric Scott.
Haverhill City Council President John Mitchison last week asked for more resident input on the city's spending priority list. Councilors agreed to keep large projects, in Mitchison's words, front and center, with a new list of city needs prepared a month before budget talks begin. The president's target list includes school roofs, city roads, bridges, water and sewer treatment, handicapped accessibility, and equipment such as fire trucks.
We need to allocate significantly more funding for critical capital improvements.
Mitchison said such spending helps residents improve quality of life, save money over the long term by, for example, fixing roofs before interiors are ruined, and avoid Proposition 2.5 tax hikes. He said the mayor spends about $700,000 a year on such capital items. Councilors and Mayor Fiorentini largely agreed, but there was some debate about where responsibility rests for school building problems. Councilor Timothy Jordan outlined timing problems, while Councilor William Macek placed the blame squarely on the school committee. Jordan argued the city needs to tackle more than one school at a time, unlike the current plan that calls for the Constantino School to come in 5 years, while others like the Whittier School have to wait 8 or 9 years.
On the school side, I mean, really, we're currently operating in crisis management mode. We're not in a strategic planning mode where we're at today.
However, Macek said, councilors did not know until recently the extent of the school building problems.
Where is the school committee? Why are we doing school committee work, even in doing studies for schools and everything?
Macek said the school department isn't taking care of their buildings, and he's opposed to what he called a real dramatic increase in taxes. Back in November, then School Committee Vice Chairman Paul Magliochetti presented a list of school needs to the City Council. He said the city is shortchanging children by restricting technology upgrades like new Chromebooks and failing to properly maintain buildings. Magliochetti noted students and teachers are often forced to work around buckets in classrooms to accommodate leaky roofs. Haverhill's Gabriel Garcia is celebrating the successful completion of basic training from the U.S. Air Force at Joint Base San Antonio-Lackland in San Antonio, Texas, military officials confirm. Airman Garcia wrapped up the 8-week program that includes training in Air Force core values, physical fitness, and basic warfare principles and skills. He also earned credits toward an associate degree in applied science through the Community College of the Air Force. The husband of Maloney Garcia, the airman graduated Haverhill High School in 2013. Haverhill is going green with February's implementation of a plastic bag ban, and the city's public library wants to keep the eco-conscious effort going at an urban gardening Q&A session February 23rd. Led by Gretel Anspach, the seminar from 11 a.m. to noon will touch on topics including how to grow in small places. Advance registration is requested by calling the library, 978-373-1586, extension 608. Haverhill's Deshane family to the rescue. Mayor Fiorentini offered appreciation on behalf of the city to Kathy Deshane and her 2 children, Emily and Ryan, after the trio came to the aid of a stranger in need of medical assistance last month. In a City Hall ceremony Friday, Fiorentini issued citations to the family for their quick and potentially life-saving action after a January 17th accident near their home on Mariah Ridge Road. James Hall was working to repair a fence near his family's home when he badly cut his leg with a power saw. Kathy, Emily, and Ryan brought James, who was bleeding out, to their deck to lay him down, make a tourniquet, and keep him calm until the ambulance arrived, Fiorentini recounted. What a story, and what a family. Recovering from surgery at home in Pennsylvania, Hall was able to share his appreciation for the family through FaceTime. Haverhill Fire Department Chief William LaLiberty and Christopher Dick from Trinity EMS also attended. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source. There's always more at WHAV.net. From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, I'm Eric Scott.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Kate Fisher. Venezuela's opposition leader Juan Guaido has dismissed warnings from President Nicolas Maduro that the country's political crisis could spark civil war. The Air Accident Investigation Branch says a body can be seen in the wreckage of a crashed plane that was carrying a Premier League footballer. And according to unsealed documents in the trial of drug lord El Chapo, he allegedly drugged and raped girls as young as 13.
Wave weather.
Now your wave weather forecast for Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. Partly cloudy, maybe even mostly clear skies through tonight. Low 39, a light breeze. Warming up very nicely, 62 degrees, becoming fully sunny throughout your Tuesday. About a 4 to 8 mile per hour southwesterly breeze. Mostly clear, lows dropping back into the middle 20s Tuesday night. And for Wednesday, mainly sunny for much of the day with a few clouds increasing late. Highs near 38. I'm WHAV meteorologist Brian Ivy. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
Broadcasting on the Armstrong FM system, this is 97.9 WHAV.
WHAV, Merrimack Valley, open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents The Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Open Mic is brought to you in part by Smith Motor Sales of Haverhill, 420 River Street, exit 48 off 495. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Okay, it's 7:08. This is the Open Mic Show every Monday night on WHAV between 6 and 8 p.m. I'm Bill Macek, along with Bill Ellis and Ralph Basiliere, and we're going to shift gears right now, and we're going to start talking some of the Super Bowl information because, Bill, your guy is on the line.
Hey, Richard, how are you tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
Good. So there's a new chapter to your book coming out, I'm sure, somewhere down the road.
Well, we have to sell all the other books first before we can do a new edition. But, you know, the fact is that in order to really enjoy this, and again, I remember what they were like way back in the day, you know, is basically you read their history and you go, hold on a second. How on earth did they transform themselves? But they did. I mean, it's a remarkable story. I mean, you know, probably the one guy in that building today, other than Mr. Kraft, because of course he was a season ticket holder going right back to the opening of the stadium, and he actually attended games in each of their home ballparks, during the years, but offensive line coach Dante Scarnecchia is the guy who basically could bring it all the way back for the players in that room in terms of sort of where they've come from and what a job his line did during the playoffs. I mean, I think he's one of the unsung heroes of the team, Scarnecchia, with the job he did. And the game yesterday was basically a pitching duel in football, which is usually a duel between the coaches, so that half the time the announcers are pointing at older guys with clipboards and headsets telling us what geniuses they are. But you know what? They're really good at what they did. The Rams' defense played a great game. The difference was Brady and Goff. That was the difference. It was the battle of the quarterbacks.
What do you think about the defense coordinators, though, too? They really did their job. And
no question. But I tend to be I tend to like the older guys more. Scarnecchi has been at his job.
Oh, he did an incredible job.
I've been at my job at the sports museum.
I think both sides, though. I mean, don't you? I mean, they were so tight until that one run that Brady put it together and got the TD. But I just think the defensive coordinators on both sides were really good.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have said it was a boring game. Well, it's a boring game if you're not a football fan. If you're a football fan, it was a chess match using, human chess pieces, and there are a couple of chess masters there, or actually several if you include the coordinators. It was really quite a game to watch, and
our local,
it was a game for the purists, not for the casual fan.
Our local paper said that the MVP is Bill Belichick.
Well, he is good.
Yeah, although I must say, Edelman gets my vote because his courage, which you can't quantify, you can't do a statistical chart on it, his courage as a receiver is, to me, his sort of defining quality. He's a gutsy guy.
I know.
And he's a returner. A punt returner is the most miserable job in sports.
Yeah.
Tell me a worse job in sports.
Yeah, he takes hits like...
the worst.
If Gronkowski got hit like Edelman does, you'd be picking him up in pieces. I mean, Gronk, unfortunately, is just like made out of China.
Yeah, Edelman's so compact. And the thing is when he played for Kent State, he played in different positions.
He was a quarterback.
Yeah, he was quarterback there.
Quarterback, and that's part of the Belichickian way of doing things. You look at the roster, okay, and there are a lot of free agent signings, a lot of guys drafted 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th round, 7th round picks. They really scout well. They use their draft choices, it's really something because you're playing in a league that rewards failure. You're playing in a league where if you stink, you get great draft choices. You play a bunny schedule. They get lousy draft choices. They play the toughest schedule, and they come out smelling like roses every year. It's remarkable.
It sure is. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I guess Belichick he saw that he really liked in Edelman was when Kent State was playing Alabama, and Alabama was destroying Kent State. But he liked the way Edelman carried himself in the game and how he kept persevering. And even though he probably knew that he wasn't going to go anywhere, it's the team winning, but yet he still kept his nose to the grindstone. We have on the air Richard Johnson. Richard is the curator of the Sports Museum, which is located in Boston. Richard, tell us about the book that you recently published.
Yeah, my friend Glenn Stout and I wrote a book called The Pats, an illustrated history of the New England Patriots, and it's basically a comprehensive history of the team. I'd like to think it's as definitive a one-volume history of the team as is out there, and we basically trace the history of the team, interestingly enough, to the NFL. That NFL championship game in 1958 was really what put the league on the map in a big way. And there were a number of millionaires out there that wanted to buy into the NFL, couldn't because the league wasn't expanding at that point. And so the idea came up of, well, let's start another league. Of course, that's happened before, but this time it really had some teeth to it with people like Lamar Hunt and Barron Hilton involved. Billy Sullivan got the team. Really kind of a fluke, because originally the AFL was going to have a team in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Then the NFL finally did expand, gave a team to Minnesota, and then that left a franchise open in the AFL because they had to have an even number of teams. Enter Boston. Billy Sullivan got the right to field a team here for an initiation fee of $25,000.
Wow.
A rather modest sum. You can't even buy a SUV for $25,000 these days. And that bought you a team in the fledgling AFL. And the rest, as they say, is history. Although it took many years for the Patriots to surpass the New York Football Giants as really the team of choice in New England, because if you know anybody maybe over the age of, say, 65, and they're interested in football, chances are pretty good they were a Giants fan back in the day.
Yeah. We have a call. I think it's a call that somebody might have a question for you or a comment. You have time to listen? Okay, let's bring up the caller. Hello, caller.
Hello, sir. How are you all doing tonight?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. Hey, we've been lucky here in New England, because I go back to the years when the Patriots weren't so great. I go back to the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah.
If you're in your late teens, early 20s, you think the Patriots have been the greatest team since I don't know what. But the reality of it is we've been blessed to have this crew the way we have it today, with Belichick and Brady and Gronk and the management team. Because I remember the days of the Doug Flutie days, the Tony Eason days. You remember those days?
Yeah, you're going way back. But
well, Doug Flutie's not way back. In fact, Richie, you may remember, what was the last Doug Flutie play?
Wasn't it the drop kick?
The drop kick. That's right. Yeah, he went out on a great note. And the last time the drop kick had been performed, I think it was like 30, 40 years prior to.
Right. I remember that.
Right, but Flutie was there in the 80s, right after the bomb in Miami.
Yeah.
Right. He spent some time up in Canada also.
They said he couldn't play football. He was too small of a guy to be a quarterback.
But none of that was under Robert Kraft. Kraft had the magic. He had the vision.
He finished off his career under Kraft.
Flutie did?
Flutie did, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Flutie came back. I mean, Flutie at the time was probably close to 40, but he could still play.
And his owners.
Yeah, I the thing is Belichick, he lives, eats, and sleeps this. And he sees stuff on the field, and he remembers it from maybe 10 years ago, a play. I was watching a piece, Richard, on Ernie Adams. And Ernie Adams apparently was the one that scoped out the Malcolm Butler play when they were playing Seattle. And
I can tell you a story about those two. Years ago, one of the trustees at our sports museum in Boston was a gentleman named Al Coulthard. Al was the trainer at Phillips Academy in Andover. So he knew Ernie and Bill back when they were on the football team at Andover. In fact, Bill was a postgraduate. Ernie had been there a few years. Anyway, they were in the same class at Andover Academy. They won the New England Prep Championship in 1970. Al told me that when he would be, there in the training room with them talking football, and Al was no slouch himself. He'd been an assistant football coach at Brandeis back when they actually had a pretty good football team. He said, as teenagers, Belichick and Adams knew more about football, knew more about X's and O's than any of the coaching staff.
Yeah. Yeah, no surprise.
They're still together. How many years later? 49 years later, they're still getting the job done.
Yeah, their marriage, Belichick's marriage didn't last that long.
Well,
Yeah, well,
it's true with a
okay.
lot of marriages.
Yeah. Richard, we're going to take a short break. Can you hang in till 7:30 when we get back?
Of course I can.
Okay. Thanks a lot. This is the Open Mic Show. We'll be right back after a few messages right here on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic.
Bill Macek and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. Open Mic is brought to you in part by Smith Motor Sales of Haverhill, 420 River Street, exit 48 off 495.
97.9 WHAV is the only FM station assigned to the City of Haverhill. Your membership is critical to continued operation. It's easy to join. Just click on the membership tab at whav.net.
Catch the wave.
Melinda's Garden Moments help gardeners create and maintain a healthy, beautiful garden with ease, inside or out and all year long. This is Melinda Myers, inviting you to tune in every weekday morning, right here on WHAV. You'll learn creative ways to grow your own vegetables and herbs while beautifying your landscape. Eco-friendly lawn care, flower garden design basics, unique container gardens, attracting birds and butterflies to the landscape, and much more. Again, please join me weekday mornings for Melinda's Garden Moment for a very environmentally friendly approach to gardening. Remember, only local radio can bring you this feature opportunity, but only WHAV does.
Community Spotlight.
Elder Services of the Merrimack Valley is in need of drivers to distribute Meals on Wheels to homebound elders in the Haverhill area. Distribution takes place weekdays, and more information is available by calling Virginia 978-651-3020. Submit your own nonprofit events and announcements at least 3 weeks in advance. For best results, use the online form under the Contact tab at whav.net. In the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, I'm Eric Scott.
Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents The Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Open Mic is brought to you in part by Smith Motor Sales of Haverhill, 420 River Street, exit 48 off 495. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we're back on the Open Mic Show. Bill Macek, Bill Ellis, and Ralph Basiliere. We're talking Patriots right now.
Who's Malcolm Butler?
How quick we forget.
Yeah, he's not as important this year as he was last year. Are you still there, Richard?
No, but typical Boston, someone right now, other than us, is actually probably talking about it.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure.
Oh, you know, we could have had another one of these, you know, and I mean, let's just be happy with what we got. Because the fact is, of course, is that two of the ones we lost to the football giants are ones we should have won, and then the ones we won against Seattle and Atlanta were almost acts of God.
Yeah, right.
I do believe in divine intervention, by the way. Do you ever see the old black and white movie Angels in the Outfield?
I have not.
Oh, Richard, you're missing something. That's great.
Well, I'll go to YouTube after we hang up here.
It is great.
I'll check the trailer out to start with.
Yeah, it is great. Quick question.
Yeah.
A lot of speculation. Who's leaving? Who's staying?
Gosh, it's hard to say. I mean, before the game, I thought Gronk might be the one who'd retire. I don't know. I'm not his orthopedic specialist. I don't know his aches and pains, but I think at a certain point, and of course he's a very smart guy. For a guy who has a reputation as, you know, a party guy and everything, he's very smart. The stories are he's never spent a dime of his salary,
right,
that he lives on the money he makes from endorsements, which is probably considerable.
Right.
So he has to think, like a lot of football players do, he has to think, do I want to be forgetting where my car keys are in another 5 years, or do I want to hang it up now and enjoy the rest of my life with all of the success I've had? Because we all know the toll that game takes on its participants. So I think that's something he's probably thinking about, maybe not today, but probably in a day or two. it'd be very hard to leave. You can imagine that the atmosphere in that locker room, in that weight room, is one where they've achieved so much together, and there's such a bond. That's really got to be a tough thing to do. But on the other hand, we're all mortal, and that sport exacts a toll on mortality unlike any other.
Yeah.
The only other
I wonder what
sport
the
I can
Vegas
think of
odds
that's
are.
hazardous is probably horse racing.
I have a prediction about him. Judging on the fact that, of course, you're absolutely right that he hasn't spent any of his money that he's earned from the NFL. He's smarter than the average bear, and I'll tell you, wise men know to quit while they're ahead, to leave people wanting more. The smartest man at a party is the guy who leaves 10 minutes before the end of it.
Yeah, I have a feeling he's going to, because he was hurt yesterday. I mean,
he was hurt. His knee.
You know, once again, he left limping. And I think he's going to retire because he has options. He's got McMahon looking to bring him into WWE, and he's got other people that want him to go to Hollywood and star in movies. So he still can make big bucks.
Yeah.
And not get
That's say nothing of broadcasting.
Yeah. And not get
He's
hurt.
really a great guy, and I know this personally because my wife's cousin was his youth baseball coach outside Buffalo, and he remains in contact and has invited him to games, has taken him to dinner. I mean, he's really a solid, good guy. The guy that you see on TV with a smile and everything is really who he is.
Yeah.
You know? And so I think that will...
I mean, I hate to see him go, but I mean, he has to wear that thing on his arm, and I mean, he's really, you can tell he puts everything into it. But
Richard, how many of his other brothers had NFL experience?
Well, let me see. I know one brother played on the practice squad with the Patriots briefly. I'm trying to think of them all. I think there are 4 other brothers. They're all really good athletes, but of course he's far and away the best. And his father owns some gyms and health clubs, I think. But I think maybe one brother might have had, sort of like the Tommy Aaron to his Henry Aaron, might have had a cup of coffee.
Great.
But I'd have to look that up.
Who else do you think might retire besides Gronk? What about one of the twins there?
McCourties.
The McCourties?
The McCourties.
Yeah.
Gosh, I just don't know. I mean, I think that... I think it's so close to the end of the game. It's like, I don't know the injury status of guys and everything. Certainly, I was very sad to see Patrick Chung not be able to play virtually half the game.
Yeah.
Did you know, Bill, the McCourties were at the same age?
Yeah, they're twins. Yeah. But one of them did say, I heard in an interview, one of them said he was thinking about hanging it up. Yeah. The one that's been the Devin, the one that's been with the Patriots. And maybe his brother would stay on because he seems to be having a great time now that he went didn't win any games last year and comes over to the Patriots and wins the Super Bowl. So that's a great story. You see the mother with the shirt?
Story. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, tomorrow will be another great day. The weather's going to be spring-like. If it's this warm on opening day for the Red Sox, we'll be lucky.
The rolling rally will be well attended.
Now, do you think L.A. is going to build up a hate for Boston? I mean, 2 championships were snatched away from them in the past few months.
You know what? I don't think they take sports as seriously out there. That's an area where its sports culture is sort of more... I don't know. They produce more athletes, and there's not as rich a history of pro sports there. I mean, look, how many years did they go not having an NFL team?
Yeah.
And of course, now they have 2, but there isn't the same degree of passion out there. It's more, it's laid back. It's L.A.
Right.
So they have other things to worry about out there, whereas here, we're worrying now. After the parade tomorrow, maybe a day after the parade tomorrow, people will start to talk about when the equipment truck for the Red Sox departs for Florida.
Yeah, tomorrow. That's right.
They don't do that anywhere else, believe me. There's no other city in this country where when the equipment truck departs to go to spring training, that's a news story. They'll actually have folks from every TV station in the region there covering that.
They were reporting today that while it was being loaded on one of the stations.
Now, why do you think that is, Richard?
Well, just because baseball, I'd say, yes, with the success of the Patriots, certainly this has become a football mecca, but baseball is still, I think they're both they're both kings at this point, but baseball really is the sport that's closest to our heart here, because we've had pro teams in Boston predating the National League. We've had pro teams playing in Boston since 1871.
Yeah.
So, the roots run really deep, and whereas in football, we had, before the Patriots, we had 5 or 6 pro teams start and fail,
Yeah.
And we almost lost the Patriots to St. Louis until the Kraft stepped in. In fact, it's appropriate that they win this Super Bowl almost within a day or two of the 25th anniversary of the Krafts buying the team.
Yeah. We almost lost
No
them
one ever
to
talked
Providence.
about the Red Sox departing Boston.
Kraft was going to, oh, that's right, Hartford. Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew he was going to move them. And then they put it together.
Well, they moved them, but they would still be in New England.
That's
so
true.
they still would have the New England name. And that basically helped them get a better deal in Foxborough.
Yeah, that's true.
Because at the time they were talking to Connecticut, the authorities in Connecticut said the Patriots can't negotiate with the state of Massachusetts while they're speaking to us. Well, what Connecticut didn't know was that the NFL could. And while the Krafts and the Patriots were speaking to the people in Connecticut, the NFL was in talking to people at the State House in Boston, working out a deal for the infrastructure and all the things they needed in order to build the stadium there. So, I'm glad that didn't happen. Hartford, it isn't the same.
No, it's
stayed in the right place.
you know what's sad is I've been to Hartford Whaler games, and they score to be 3-3 with 3 minutes left, and people get up and start leaving, and I'd say this is the best part of the game. And for some reason, it just didn't take off down there.
Well, they're close to the dividing line between the Giants and the Patriots too.
You ain't kidding.
There's
I'm talking about hockey, though.
Yeah, and the Yankees
No, but I'm
the
flipping
Red
back to our Patriots. That
A lot of I lived in Connecticut for a while. A lot of Giants fans
Yeah,
down there.
yeah.
With that, if you really want to tick off a Saints fan, you turn around and say, the Saints would have won, because they didn't make it. As that missed call, of which the NFL decided about a week later that they were going to fine that player, and I'm sure a lot of the New Orleans people right now are saying we could have scored a touchdown
Right.
on the Patriots.
I'm sure they are.
Thank God that
Well,
that referee wasn't an
imagine
air
if we
traffic
drew-
controller.
Yeah,
Breeze
right.
versus Brady.
Than any of them
that
are.
would have been a dream.
That would have been good. It's
But I'm
funny.
glad we got the I'm glad we got the Rams, because that AFC Championship game, Mahomes, oh my Lord, is he good? And he's not a deer staring in the headlights. Whereas yesterday, Jared Goff, you could see it on the TV screen. He was, that was a real Ralph Cramden humana sort of thing for him. Almost the entire game, he was shaky. He was not, Whereas Brady, been there, done that, and boy, he was there and he did it again.
It's funny,
Even
Richard,
though
because
I'm sure by any fair standard, he would say he didn't have a great game.
No,
But
you
they
can
won.
see it. You can see it in the players' eyes when Goff was sitting on the bench, and you see him looking up, and he had that basically bewildered look about him. The same look that Atlanta had 2 years ago when the score started to get narrowed down. In the quarterback for Atlanta, you see him, and he didn't look as confident, as he had been, and I think that had an impact. It affected his game, because he was starting to get intimidated.
Yeah, no, Brady's the most competitive guy I'm trying to think. I wouldn't say the planet, because there might be somebody more competitive than him, although it'd be hard to imagine someone more competitive than he is, because, could he be a bit complacent? Well, sure he could. He has a fortune. He's married to an international icon. He has any number of different distractions that could be keeping him away from being the competitor he is, and we've seen it with other athletes, where once the money comes in and the fame and everything else, they get distracted, they don't stick to business. Brady is all business. He is as competitive now as he was when he arrived in Foxborough as the 199th pick in the draft, and had the audacity to say to Robert Kraft, I'm the best choice your team has ever made. Can you imagine having that brass to say that?
Yeah.
Well, he probably plays as tough as he does to prove a point to Giselle. Because I'm sure there's been times when she'll pull out her paycheck and say, yours, Tom, is pittance to what I make.
That's funny, isn't it? I mean, I'm sure it's not as overt as that, despite how much we would like it to be, right?
Yeah.
But you got to think at a certain level. Well, of course, he still is a guy who, if he travels with her, say, to Paris or something, and there's a story in the paper, he's the escort accompanying her, not the other way around.
He's the bag carrier.
Yeah, like when the Kennedys went to France, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Jack Kennedy said I was the guy that escorted.
I'm the man that accompanied Jacqueline Bouvier Kennedy to Paris, and that's the same with Brady.
She was fluent in French.
I didn't know that that Giselle made that much money. That makes me want to shout out to Brady to donate to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial
That's right.
Ad Hoc
I'm sure
Commission
he
here
would.
in Haverhill.
He probably would.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much is
You
Giselle
know what?
worth?
If he probably heard about it, he probably would. I don't know if he started to found.
Do you have his number, Richard?
Not.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he will. You know what? He's so focused on what he does as a player, and then the only thing apart from that I think he really spends time on is his family.
Yeah.
I think it would be hard for him to
Beautiful
do anything
family.
but those two.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny is I was reading an article. Giselle said that she's not really into fashion, that she'd rather wear jeans and a T-shirt, whereas Tom seems to be more into dressing up.
Boy, he goes all over the board, though, doesn't he? You never know what he's going to be wearing. He's not consistent.
Tom?
No, well, he's sort of a gentleman's quarterly guy.
Yeah.
You know what? You have to like a guy that has some style. Of course, you remember Hawk Harrelson and the Nehru jackets?
Yes.
Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, but sometimes Brady looks like a fashion plate, and other times he looks like a guy right out of the locker room. He's not always on his
when
game.
he started here, he lived in Quincy. He would go to the local Stop and Shop. He'd talk to people and everything. He was a regular guy. I think he's had to insulate himself more as he's become a celebrity because, of course, there are crazy people out there.
Yeah,
so,
I'm sure.
And the amount of patriot hatred, I just scratch my head. It's like, okay, whether you agree with the politics or not, you divorce it from what they do, okay? So if we knew the political stance of every athlete we followed, it would just be another distraction, and what it would do is it would make sports more like everything we try to escape.
Yeah, I
to
see.
go to
I
sports
think we
from.
shouldn't do that. We shouldn't let the political, feelings ever enter into sports.
And if you notice that about the Patriots, they steer clear of it.
We should.
When they
we should
saw
all
the
stay clear of
the Make America Great Again hat in Tom Brady's locker,
right.
there was stuff was brought up about that, but they quelled it. And I think basically what Bill Belichick says, we're a football team.
Right.
I don't care about
That's the way I think we should look at it.
And you mentioned, Richard, about basically crazies out there. That's why Tom Brady maybe is a little more particular where he goes. The image of that movie with Robert De Niro, it came to mind when he was.
The Fan.
Yeah, that was a great
You must
movie.
be the only other person that I know that's ever seen that. I think you, my son, and I are the only ones who've ever seen that film in its entirety. It's one of the worst sports films ever made.
The Fan? Yeah.
The
no,
Fan.
I
I tell you,
never saw it.
it's great.
Yeah.
Robert De Niro plays a nut.
Yeah.
And he's in love with what's his name? Spike. What's the
Spike Lee?
No.
No. Cool.
Oh, no, I'm trying to think of the name. The guy's name is Bobby something.
No, but it was
The character in the
actor.
film is named Bobby.
Who's the actor?
Oh, I'll think of it. But I can remember the player who's the one who's the robber one is a guy named Juan Primo.
Okay.
And I forget who he's
All
played
right,
by.
we're getting in the
Antonio
weeds here.
Banderas.
Richard, we have to take a break. I want to thank you for your time again this evening. We'll talk to you again
Give
soon.
one
I
more
hope.
plug for your book, Richard.
Go.
We'll talk soon. Yeah, the Pats, an illustrated issue of the New England Patriots. Go online, or better yet, go to your independent store and get it. It's a great book.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard.
All right.
Take care. Cheers.
Thank
have a
you.
great day.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back on the Open Mic Show on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic.
Bill Macek and the Open 48 off 495. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Don't get it.
All right, we are back on the Open Mic Show right here at 7:41. Bill Macek with Bill Ellis and Ralph Basiliere sitting in, and we're having a really all kinds of discussion. We're doing football. We're doing Veterans Memorial. How about Conservation Commission? Anything you want to talk about there?
Well, as it happens, Bill, I am a conservation commissioner.
Yeah, that's why I bring it up.
Yeah, I've been one for about a year and a
You
half.
should wear one of those many hats that you have, by the way, because I did notice the bald spot that you brought out.
Well, thank you for mentioning that. I've noticed that you are older and fatter than the last time I was here. So for those of you listening
Four
on
eyes.
radio, by the way, I look like Brad Pitt with glasses. The Conservation Commission, I mean, what can I say? I absolutely love that appointment. I'm very grateful for the mayor for appointing me there. It's a great deal of hard work. It's very hard work.
Do you actually go out and visit a lot of the sites?
I do.
You should, yeah.
I do. Myself and Tom Wiley, and we're not the only ones, but frequently we go out with the agent, Rob Moore, who, by the way, this city is
I've
so
known
lucky
Rob.
to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
A consummate professional,
Yeah.
honest, intelligent. We get a great deal of bang for our buck with Rob. We cannot be paying him enough.
Yeah.
And really, the Haverhill Conservation Commission, in many ways, having gone to a lot of conservation events, is the envy of the state, and a lot of it has to do with that we have such a competent agent.
Yeah.
I love being a conservation commissioner. It resonates with every fiber of my being. I call myself the accidental environmentalist because now it's made me aware of so many important issues. And it's a really interesting time to be a conservation commissioner here in Haverhill because so much is happening along the river where we have jurisdiction. And really with what's happening, with the Department of the Interior, we're not the first line of defense anymore. We are the first and sometimes last line of defense with our enforcement partners at the DEP.
All right, well, let's see if you got somebody to call in. At least we know we have a call. Our producer has told us that we have a call waiting. Let's get right to our phone call on the open mic. Hello.
Yeah, Dr. Jerry Boucher here.
Hi,
Hey, doctor. How are you today?
Is it Alex still there?
Alex? You mean Ralph?
Alex, the one who was just talking about the Citizen Center.
Dr. Jerry, unfortunately, you must be listening to something else.
I must.
What's the question? We'll try to we'll field it anyway.
We'll field the question.
Who's on there? Bob Moore?
No. Rob Moore, Ralph Basiliere, who is the vice chair.
Ralph. How you doing, my friend?
You must know Ralph.
I'm doing well. Yes, Jerry is one of the commissioners.
Another big veteran in town.
Yes.
I thought I had talking about Alex plus Citizen Center on your station. It must have been cutting in or something.
Must have been. Well, we'll look into that. But
yeah, look into
Jerry,
that.
Jerry, what years did you serve in Vietnam?
1967, the summer of 1967.
Yeah.
When it should have ended.
Yeah, you're right.
That's true.
Because in my book called "We Won the Battles, Washington Lost the War," I have a lot of facts in there that says we had every reason to be there, fighting democracy. And anywhere we are in the world, even Hillary Clinton herself called it globalization. So a lot of facts in there because everybody knows it turned into a big political corrupted war.
Yeah, I agree with Jerry that we should have won in '67. I read a book. I was very much influenced by Colby, the CIA director, called Lost to Victory, and 67 is one of, also 73 and 75, one of three opportunities we had to step on the throats of the communists, crush them, and bring this war to a favorable political end, and we did not do it. I absolutely agree with that statement. Jerry, now I can't promise you that I'm going to agree with everything you ever say, but that statement is absolutely correct. It is backed by the evidence.
I have proof. I did a lot of research on it. It's a 350-page book.
Who was the president then? Was it Johnson? It was Johnson. Yeah.
Now, Jerry, do you think that part of the war was lost because of the sentiment in the country at the time?
Say that again.
Do you think the war was lost partly because of the sentiment in the country at the time against the war?
It had a lot to do with it. But don't forget, in my research, we had, at the beginning, even when I was there, we had an M16 that malfunctioned for the first 3 years. A lot of people they don't take that serious. Imagine having a rifle that gets an AK-47 that doesn't shoot.
Right.
Even malfunctioned on me the first time I used it.
And that was because of the ammunition, which was a bureaucratic financial decision made by Robert McNamara.
Now, see,
I've agreed with you twice tonight, Jerry. Make note of that.
In my research, the M16 was malfunctioning because it had a chamber made of copper instead of stainless steel. September 1966, when I enlisted, McNamara, the Congress had a bill out there to change the copper to stainless steel. McNamara he vetoed the bill and said if the maker wanted that made stainless steel, he would have made it that way. They didn't correct that weapon until 1968.
Now, what did the copper do? Would it contract or swell or?
Imagine burning metal does to copper. It
basically stretches it.
Yeah.
So that wall should have been over the beginning. What were we supposed to do? Throw the rounds at him like a slingshot?
Wow.
No. Hey, Jerry, let me ask you a question.
Lost a lot of people.
Jerry and Ralph, you may know this. There used to be a rifle, and it may have been used in the Korean War, that when the cartridge was empty, it would fall to the ground. Do you remember that rifle? There was a story about that.
I do not. I do not.
And what would happen is it had a distinctive sound when it hit the ground, and then the enemy knew that the American soldier was out of ammunition. So what ended up happening is guys would carry empty cartridges to lure the enemy out. They would throw the empty cartridge on the ground. They'd hear the sound, but yet they would still be fully loaded.
Oh, I like that idea.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, it's getting also into the point where, if you remember Sergeant Alvin York, what did he used to do to get the German soldiers to pop their heads off from the foxholes?
Yell sauerkraut?
No, he used to go blue, blue.
That was World War II, wasn't it?
World War One.
Really?
And they would stick their heads up to see what was going on. And Alvin York, who grew up in Tennessee, I believe it was, or Kentucky, and he used to shoot turkeys. Huh. And they used to pop their heads up, and he was a marksman, and thus he used to pick them off. I think he was the most decorated soldier in World War One.
You know, speaking of Korea, there's an excellent book about Korea. That's it's really a study of generalship. Why we can no longer turn operational and tactical victories into strategic ones, called The Generals by Tom Ricks. That has, I think, of all the books I've read on the Korean War, which is probably half a dozen or 8, the best story that shows on both sides of the Chosin Reservoir how one general acted correctly and had command that acted correctly, and on the other side, generals did not act and lead correctly, and the difference in results. Great book called The Generals by Tom Ricks.
Okay.
It's similar to that of George Patton?
Patton. I didn't read his book. I've not read Patton's book.
Well, George Patton thought he was reincarnated. He thought that he was a warrior from hundreds of years before.
He's the one who taught us that all victory is fleeting.
That's true.
That's right, yeah.
It is true.
And
I'm going to listen to you on the TV. I'm going to hang up now. Ralph, keep up the profound, wonderful work you do.
Hey, thanks for your call, Doctor.
Thank you for your service.
All right.
All right, thank you, Bill.
Have a good one.
bye-bye.
Okay. We're going to actually take a break because we need one more break before we can get to the top of the hour.
Keep the lights on.
So keep the lights on, and we'll be right back right here on the Open Mic Show on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open Mic!
Bill Macek and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. Open Mic is brought to you in part by Smith Motor Sales of Haverhill, 420 River Street, exit 48 off 495.
Those Boston stations don't always understand weather in the Merrimack Valley. Stay informed with Wave Weather every 30 minutes, 24 hours a day on Soft Gold WHAV.
Call Ryan, HHS class of 1971. And Tommy Morgan, HHS class of 2013, are good sports. They're on 97.9 WHAV FM every Wednesday night from 6 to 8. Ryan and Morgan talk about local high school sports, the Patriots, Red Sox, Bruins, Celtics, and more. You can join in with your calls. Good Sports is sponsored in part by attorney Gerard LaFlamme, Ideal Frame, Brian S. Dempsey Insurance Agency, Levitt's Auto and Truck, and The Chicken Connection. Good Sports every Wednesday night at 6 on the Wave 97.9 WHAV FM.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents The Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Open Mic is brought to you in part by Smith Motor Sales of Haverhill, 420 River Street, exit 48 off 495. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we're back on the Open Mic Show. Bill Macek here, along with Bill Ellis and Ralph Basiliere. Before we get into more of our fun and frolic, I'd just like to announce one more time some sad news, deeply saddened by a report of the passing of our legendary morning news anchor and member of the WBZ Hall of Fame, Gary LaPierre, who had his first radio job here, has passed away at the age of 76 earlier today, and we just I wanted to make note of that, and I think we want to,
Very
of course,
sad. Tremendous voice.
hold Gary out. What an incredible guy. And you know, it was his first job, and unfortunately, he didn't last more than a couple of weeks because somebody called in some fake news. He was reading obituaries live, writing them down. Somebody called in and reported that somebody had passed away, and somebody in a diner downtown was actually listening to WHAV while he's eating his eggs. He heard that he was dead. So, of course, that didn't make him happy, and it got reported, and the owner of the radio station at the time told Gary to pack it and go, and that was the end of it. For
That's sad, because that could happen to anybody.
Yeah, it is. But
I heard that the diner had killer muffins, so he might have been expecting it.
Wow.
Well,
You know,
I tried.
actually, he may have thought he was in a time warp, that he was actually a day ahead of time.
it could be. Yeah, he might have thought that.
That would be scary. But you know what, though? If you had somebody with the obituary, and they read your obituary, you could make changes to it. Say, no, I want that taken out, I want this put in. So
Yeah.
you could basically...
But you usually don't change the name.
No, of course you wouldn't change the name, but you could tweak it, though, Billy.
Yeah.
Why don't we do that? You and I will write each other's obituary, and then we'll tweak it.
Isn't it funny he started here in Haverhill just like the six-time Super Bowl champion New England Patriots had their first scrimmage in Haverhill.
That's right. Yeah.
Way back when.
Well, and also Tom Bergeron.
True, Tom
started
Bergeron.
here in
Yeah.
Haverhill. So, we've
A
had
lot of great names that come through here.
Yeah.
Bill Macek, another one.
That's right. Yeah.
Now, we were talking about weapons. I'm going to ask you, Billy, a little trivia. What's a Gatling gun?
A Gatling gun.
Yeah.
A Gatling gun. It's
Yeah.
the gun that it goes around in a.
It's like the early machine
like
gun.
the early machine gun. Yeah.
Like a Tommy gun.
Yeah.
But way back after that was Tommy guns were later on, but
Yeah.
Invented by Dr. Gatlin, who thought that it would quickly end the war and thus save lives.
now did he have descendants later on that Gatlinburg and the Gatlin brothers and stuff, or are they all part of the same?
I don't know that. Why don't you use that as homework for this week, Bill? And next Monday night you can do a report.
We'll talk about
on
Gatling.
the Gatling.
But maybe I'll talk to somebody down in Gatlinburg.
But you said you might know somebody you can find out about the M16.
I will.
So we might
my
wanna
son
follow
knows
up
a
on
lot
that.
about the weapons. He's in the military.
Yeah.
And as a kid, it's funny though. Even before he was in the military, he went to a weapons show, and they had Army had a booth set up, and they had an M16 there. He broke the M16 down and put it back together.
Really?
And they asked him. They said, "How often have you done that?" He said, "This is my first time." He said, "I read about it."
Wow.
And he actually will buy weapons and he fixes them.
Wow.
A little hobby of him
Well, that's
for
a,
himself.
that's a good little hobby.
It is. It's interesting.
You have to be licensed to do that?
Well, in the state that he's in, no.
Oh, okay.
He's not in Massachusetts.
Uh-huh.
Oh, but yeah, it's exciting. And as a kid, he always was interested in the military. And I used to kid him about his bedroom. I said it looked like you ripped off West Point. because he had a lot of different items that were there. Various people that I knew that I would introduce him to, and knowing the love that he had for military stuff, would give him stuff. I had a friend of mine at Malone, New York, that gave him a swastika armband.
A real.
He was in Germany after the war, and he said, I've had this since World War II. And he said, nobody in my family would really appreciate it. And he said, I think I'd like you to have it.
Interesting.
And I had another friend of mine that was in Vietnam, gave him his uniform, was there. And another friend that was in Vietnam that had several, Purple Hearts and many different medals. And I was telling him about my son. And one day he said, here, I want you to have these, for your son. Because I know he'd appreciate them.
Wow. Well, check that out with him, and we'll report on that next Monday night.
That sounds good.
This gets people to tune in again next Monday night.
Yes.
We're here only on Monday nights, 6 to 8. It's the Open Mic Show on WHAV, and I want to thank the sponsors we have that are sponsoring the show, and also thank everybody that's listening. And we thank any comments that you would like to make. We have lines open for another 3 minutes at 978-374-1900 if you want to get thought in on anything, if you want to place a bet on next year's Super Bowl finalist. And
Bill, it's not legal in Massachusetts yet.
Oh, I thought I was in Rhode Island. No, only kidding.
Do you know what we'll do? If we got 3 minutes
it might
left,
be. By next year,
if you want to call up.
By next year, it might be.
By next year, it will be.
Yeah.
You'll have an opportunity to win the LBD's cake if you call up and tell us which Patriot is going to retire. So if you call up, we'll put your name in the hat.
Regardless of which month it is, we carry
exactly.
them over.
You tell us if it's Gronk, if it's Brady, because there's only so many more years he's going to go. I'm sure his wife's going to get a little nervous.
Well, yeah, I know, but he says 45, give or take. He's only 42.
He is 40. No, he's 41. And
close to 42.
All right. Well, Bill, he's 41.
All
you don't always push your age up, do you?
I did when I was a kid.
Well, yeah, but it's funny when you were a kid.
Almost 5.
Yeah, but when you were a kid, remember you used to say, I'm 4.5?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was always the half.
Yeah.
The thing I give Belichick credit for with the couple of minutes we have left, that Andy Reid, Kansas City Chiefs, and all the games that he ever played or coached, they never was shut out for the first half.
Yeah.
They were with the Patriots.
Correct.
Same thing, Sean McAvoy with the Rams, never shut out in the first half. Belichick at that time.
No, they did. It was a coaching miracle.
Little point of interest, I will literally be 52.5 at midnight tonight.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
True story.
Wow. Do you get something on your half birthdays?
Happy half birthday.
I hope so.
He's working on it, trying to convince people, But
what I'm hoping for my half birthday is a significant amount of donations for the Vietnam Veterans Memorial here in Haverhill.
Tell us again how people can donate.
Real quick, get it in.
City of Haverhill, big checks payable to City of Haverhill in the memo, Vietnam Memorial Gift, and get them to the city treasurer.
Okay, it's that simple. And I wonder if I do that next time I pay my taxes, if I write Vietnam Memorial in the memo line.
Yes, it will come to us.
Will I get a double hit? Will it pay my taxes and then somebody will see it and give it to you?
Wouldn't it be nice if it worked that way? Wouldn't it be nice?
All right, well, we're just about out of time.
You're really looking to shake things up, aren't you, Bill? I can see see why they call you the Paul Manafort of Haverhill now.
They call me the God. They call me the dean.
The dean of the city council. That's right.
That's right. But we're not going to go there, and because we're out of time. Maybe next week.
Yeah.
But I always think funny. I have a hard time controlling myself because I think
I've seen that.
Funny, right? Yeah. All right, we're out of time. This is the Open Mic Show. I'm Bill Macek. Bill Ellis is here, and thanks for coming in, Ralph Basiliere.
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you for your great work.
Great.
Thank you for having
and
me.
all the things you do in the city, and we'll do another update whenever you move it forward another peg.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks. This is WHAV Haverhill. The Open Mic Show is over.
Say goodnight, Bill.
97.9 FM. Good night.
Join Bill Macek live on the Open Mic again next Monday night at 6. The Open Mic Show is brought to you in part by Smith Motor Sales of Haverhill, 420 River Street, exit 48 off 495. The opinions expressed on the Open Mic Show are not necessarily those of 97.9 WHAV FM, its underwriters, or affiliated stations. The Open Mic Show came to you from the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom.
It's 8 o'clock.
WHAV LP Haverhill.
Wave weather.
Now your wave weather forecast for Haverhill in the Merrimack Valley.